What was the fight for Native American voting rights? Imagine a time when simply trying to cast a ballot was met with obstacles that seemed unfair and confusing. Native Americans faced many barriers to voting that made their participation in elections difficult or impossible. This story is about their ongoing effort to gain equal voting rights in the United States. For a long time, Native Americans were not considered U.S. citizens. The U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1788, did not grant them citizenship. Even after the 14th Amendment in 1860, it made everyone born in the United States a citizen. Native Americans on tribal lands were often excluded. The law said they were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, which meant they could be left out of voting rights. It was not until the Indian Citizenship Act of 1920 for that all Native Americans born in the United States officially became citizens. But becoming a citizen did not automatically give them the right to vote. States still had the power to set their own rules for voting. Many states used tricks to keep Native Americans from voting. They said Native Americans living on reservations were not residents of the state, or they required paying taxes to vote, which many tribal members could not afford. Some states even claimed that Native Americans were not competent enough to vote. These barriers meant that Native Americans could not vote in federal, state, or local elections for many years after 1924. Things started to change with federal laws like the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This law made it illegal to discriminate against voters based on race or ethnicity. It helped remove some of the biggest obstacles Native Americans faced. Even after 1965, some states found ways to limit Native American voting. They placed polling stations from reservations, required specific forms of identification that tribal members could not easily get, or did not provide voting materials in Native languages. These tactics made it harder for Native Americans to participate in elections. The fight for Native American voting rights shows us that having a law on paper is not enough. It takes effort to make sure laws are followed and that everyone can vote easily. People have organized voter registration drives on reservations, challenged unfair laws in court, and worked to provide voting materials in Native languages. These actions help make sure Native Americans can take part in choosing their leaders and shaping their communities. Today, Native Americans have the legal right to vote in all elections. But challenges remain, like limited polling places on reservations and strict voter ID laws. Many organizations and activists continue working to make voting easier and fairer for Native Americans. Their fight is part of the larger story of how voting rights in the United States have grown and changed over time. Understanding this history helps us see why voting rights are still important today. It reminds us that the right to vote is not just about laws but about making sure everyone can actually use that right. Native Americans have fought long and hard for their place in the voting process, and their story shows how important it is to keep working for fair elections for all citizens.